Hey guys, this is Tauna, and today we're going to be talking about the Aetherdrift legendaries. We're going to be talking about which ones I think are really great, which ones I'm not a huge fan of, etc, etc. With Aetherdrift, we're getting 28 new legendaries. I'm just talking about the ones in the main set, not from the commander decks. And obviously, you know, with all sets, there's a variety of viability, some that are potentially CEDH viable, down to some that I'm like, if you're building this, you're building it because you like the art or like the creature. You're not building it because you think it's actually going to potentially be good. I'm going to be mostly talking about these primarily from a commander point of view as your actual commander, not necessarily how strong they are in the 99. Some of them I'll say, you know, this is a good card if in the 99, but not as your commander. But I'm not talking about how strong they are in the 99 necessarily. Before we get into it, make sure you guys subscribe, make sure you share the video around, all that kind of stuff. We're trying to still hit 25k by the end of 2025. We've got, you know, 13k more to go. And I do want to apologize as well. I've had a bunch of personal and very emotional stuff going on at the moment, as well as starting a new job, all that kind of stuff. So I haven't been making videos as much, and I haven't been, you know, around as much. So that will hopefully change. I've still got to draw the winners for our competition and everything like that. Hopefully things, you know, will look up in the next month, like, you know, starting tomorrow, I guess, is the first day of February. So, yeah, we'll see. So let's start off with Achik here. So Achik Emerald Radiant is an insect tribal commander, most likely, with synergies around that aristocrat and small token creature. Very much a insect commander, and most insect commanders do very similar. Interesting thing and nice thing about it is that the triggered ability here is on each insect dying, not on just, like, you know, if one or more insects die. So board wides will trigger her a lot. So if you can get a lot of, like, you know, 1 damage pings out to hit all of your little insects, heaps of triggers onto them. It's quite expensive to cast though, you know, 6 cost. And Verdict, I do think that she's going to be better in a 99 of a Grist style insect deck. Really great in that 99, but as a commander, I don't think so. I think there's just so many different that are better insect commanders than her. Next, we've got Basri, tomorrow's champion, and I don't think you should use Basri as a commander at all. A very interesting card for a cat tribal deck, though. You either can get 1 cat every 2 turns with exerting him, making that, you know, 1/1 white cat token, or you've got the option there of also cycling him, and then from there you get to get the hexproof and indestructible out onto your cat. But that part there isn't super relevant for commander because, you know, if he's your commander, you're not going to be able to use him for cycling and stuff to be able to get that hexproof and indestructible. So, you know, you could play him technically turn 1 and then turn 2 get a cat out. But there's just so many different better cat commanders, even like the new Arabo from what's his face? Foundations is just going to be a much better option here. But in like the 99 for Basri, you're going to have like be able to cycle him to get that hexproof and indestructible if you want, or be able to play him early to be able to get out like the, you know, cat tokens slowly. We've got Celorna, Coral Tyrant. This is a big booty on an octopus, but it has no power. Realistically, there isn't much use for this as a commander. Like in a Toughness Matters deck, good. But as a commander for its own deck, not very strong and not very worthwhile. However, we're talking about nice ones and really, really spicy ones. We've got Captain Howler Sea Scourge. So he is going to be built around a lot of looting effects, a lot of wheels, and can include some like damage pings when you draw as well. He's got built-in ward that's relatively strong too. Like it's got ward 2 plus pay 2 life. Now in Commander, you know, pay 2 life isn't quite as much, but once you get him out, like, you know, and it's getting down to the kind of end of the game, people are going to be more hesitant to pay that 2 life. He has built-in card draw as well, built in it like into his ability. And, you know, like a wheel-based deck, it's just going to be crazy. You're going to get so much card draw. You're going to get like so much like buffing up of a creature, right? Like if you wheel 7 cards, then you're giving a creature plus 14. And then also whenever they deal damage to someone, you're going to draw a card. Yeah, it's really strong. I love it. I love it so much. We've got Caradora, Heart of Alacria. So she can tutor up a mount or vehicle to hand on entry, which is nice. I will talk a little bit about that later on because it's kind of like partner, but not because of specifically what card this is. Additional counters, but this one includes vehicles instead of being only creatures. So it's got that whole, if you put a +1/+1 onto something, put an additional one on. But this time it's if you do it on a creature or a vehicle, you can do that. Honestly, I just think that there is better Silencia like vehicle commanders, like the Rip from Duskmourn. I think is better. There's just better options than her for your commander here. She does nice stuff, but like I think that specifically you're using her. If you're using her, you're using her purely so you can use her mount with her because they've got such great synergy together. But even then, like, yeah, it's kind of mixing two themes that I just don't think work all that great together with the +1 counters and the mounts and vehicles. You're going to find use for it, but I just think there's a better options for both. We've got Duretti Rocket Engineer. Now, he is really great. There's going to be some really great ways to make use of his ability to be able to bring back artifacts from your graveyard. I don't think necessarily that he's going to be the best as a commander, but I do think he could helm a very, very interesting deck of a mono red, sacrifice your artifacts, bring stuff back. But mono red doesn't have all that much self-mill or draw to take big advantage of getting things into the graveyard. You'll obviously have some of those, like, faithless looting effects where you discard cards and draw cards, in which case you could use them there, but like it's not like the best deck to be able to mill yourself through with your like artifacts and stuff. But I do think in the 99 of like an Iron Man deck, for example, he's going to be amazing. I do think that you could make a very interesting deck with him. I just don't think that he's the best commander for them. We got Far Fortune End Boss. So this is the first one that we've covered here so far with this speed mechanic. She does specifically need max speed. Max speed is going to be a pain because you could potentially get, it's going to be, if you play her on turn one, and then, not turn one. On the turn that she comes out, unless you've got speed already built up, you could potentially get to 2 speed. And then you're going to have to wait until your second turn after that to be able to get to max speed, to be able to get her other ability going off. Now, the great thing is that it is whenever you attack, she deals damage to each opponent, not whenever she attacks, which is great. I do think that she likely will work best in like a burn deck, but you do need to get that speed started ASAP, even before she comes out, right? Like using like the speed mechanics to speed lands and stuff to get it started. I think that, as I said, better in the 99 of a different burn deck, but she could be very interesting in like a speed-based burn deck. We've got Gontai Knight Minister. He's going to make everyone play a theft deck. He's going to make, any time any creature deals combat damage to an opponent, that person who owns that creature get to steal the top card of that into exile. And they don't even get to look at it. Like the opponent doesn't even get to look at it. So this could be a very interesting like group hug style theft deck where everyone gets to play each other's cards and stuff. Goes very well with like the Rev Tithe Master, a Tithe Extractor from Jumpstart. I do really like it. I think he's very, very spicy. We've got Hazoret Godspeaker, and honestly, I don't even know this one. Like, it's hard to pinpoint what kind of deck this could even build as. Like, it's got the make a creature unblockable. It can't attack or block until you've got max speed. So obviously you need some speed stuff in here if you are going to use it as your commander, but you don't need it to be max speed to be able to crew with it. Like, you can still crew before that. Honestly, it's just hard to call. I feel that there's things that do what this Hazoret does, but better. And overall just feels really generic. I don't think it's going to be a great commander. I could potentially be wrong, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it. We've got Kalaskian Hunger Tyrant. I'm not going to cover all of these vanilla legendaries too much. If you build Yargle, you could potentially build Kalaxian instead, Kalaxion, like an interesting Voltron style commander, seeing it's 3 hits until you get that combat damage, commander damage in. But I don't know. If you're building Yargle, you might want to build this as well. Katramos. This is a potential CEDH commander. Very, very likely a CEDH commander, in my opinion. Each time a card is exiled from the graveyard or battlefield, you get to draw and you'll lose 1 life. That is just insanely strong. Flicker, Blink, Graveyard Hate's going to do it. Stuff like Planar Void are going to proc it here as well. You can draw so many cards. You're going to get to your win cons really, really easily. Absolutely bonkers as a commander. And in my opinion, definitely will see some CEDH play. Even if you're not using him to attack, just this card draw alone is crazy. We've got Colladon Triumph Caster, and I actually love this one as well. This is like one of the best vehicle and mount commanders you're going to find within Boros colors. Does crazy things to help aggro vehicle decks because they get to come in with haste. They get to, be saddled / crewed the turn they come in. And, if you got like mass reanimation, like a return from the past, kind of not return from the past, but like that kind of, there's a whole bunch of like white mass reanimate artifact spells. Play those, bring back all your artifact vehicles, and boom, now you just send them at people. And they've all got haste. They get essentially like a free turn to be able to attack before you need to do it. You could then also flicker them pre-combat. If you don't want to crew them, flicker them pre-combat, and then they come back in, and then they've got the haste, and they were an artifact creature. Boom. I will not be shocked if we don't see, I'll be shocked if we don't see a lot of Boros vehicle decks come from this, because this is great. And, the red there with a whole bunch of artifact synergy of, whenever an artifact comes in, ping everyone. We've got Lagarin, Soul of Alakria, a commander that can be mounted. It hands out +1s to other vehicles and mounts. As I said, I'm surprised that it didn't have partner with Caradora, which is the one that we talked about before with the same colors and everything. But I guess her being able to tutor him up kind of has that there. Very cheap to get out, only costing 2, so you can potentially start swinging for commander damage on turn 3. As unlikely you have haste in the Silencia colors, but I think that it's a good card. I think that it's a good card overall. I just do think again that there's better commanders for vehicles and stuff within that color. We got Loot the Pathfinder. Oh man, I would not be surprised if this one isn't CEDH as well. 3 different abilities that can only be used once. However, if you flicker him, if you clone him, if you, give other people these abilities, it's just going to be crazy. You can use any of the other exhaust synergies as well to be able to, you could even sacrifice him and then recast him. There is just so many ways to be able to abuse this, especially because he also has haste. So even the turn he comes out, you can use these abilities straight away. You can just do so much with him, kill everyone and just have an insane amount of mana and be able to just, flicker him and stuff. It's just insanely great. We got Mendicant Core Guide Light. I like him. He's very nice. It's like an artifact commander, not very spicy, but you can copy any artifact spell you've got once you get up to that max speed. Again, you'll be wanting to get your speed going as soon as possible. You could get him out turn 2, or you could use one of those, one of the raceways that start your speed on turn 1. Power based off of all artifacts as well, which is great, which means that clues, count, treasures and stuff will count too. We've got Mimoplasm Revered one. Oh boy, this is a crazy one. You're going to go with self-mill, sacrifice, or otherwise you want to get everything into your graveyard. Then Mimoplasm can exile them. Then you can turn it into any of them for 2 mana at instant speed. Potentially it can be stronger than them too, because it's just got those +1s on it. For 2 mana, no matter the cost of the card, you can turn this into a Darksteel Colossus, whatever you want. Can then change into a different one of them at instant speed too. Oh, sorry, not Darksteel Colossus because that won't stay in your graveyard, but you know what I mean. You can turn it into some really great big things. And you can just turn it into a different one at instant speed as well. You get one in there that's got hexproof or something like that, and then boom, now you pay 2 mana for a hexproof onto your commander. Very, very spicy, and I can't wait to see the dumb stuff people pull off with it. We've got Mulyan Ling, Wind Rider. So she gives all vehicles flying, which is nice, and card draw built into when you hit something with any flying creatures, not necessarily just him, just her, or any vehicles, right? So I think the Thopters are going to be a decent idea here, combined with vehicles, and then you can use your Thopters to man your vehicles. But honestly, I just think there's a lot better options for mono blue vehicles than this. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it. I think that there's better options for mono blue vehicles. We've got Oviar Auto Tech Artisan. Wow, my reading's not working. So this is a Elvish Piper in your command zone with there's other benefits too, and also extra buffs for vehicles. Mono green, super simple, straightforward. We've got loot from Foundations. We've got Kona that were green brain off commanders, I like to call them, that allow you to just pump out creatures. This is just going to compete with them to do that, except it also gives all creatures trample that attack any of your opponents. That means even your opponent's creatures will get trample. Alrighty, next up we have Red Shift Rocketeer Chief. Honestly, I really like this kind of I think this is going to be a very, very interesting deck. So obviously this is designed to work with the exhaust abilities from the actual set, but it's going to work with any activated abilities with her ability, his ability. It's going to work really well with that Agatha the Vile Cauldron deck, which is again in Gruul colors, which works really well, and Agatha's Cauldron overall. If you have a way to be able to untap him, it's going to go infinite super easily once you have a bit more power into them. You know, stuff like Staff of Domination, that kind of thing that can untap is going to be insanely great here. You can make use of this really, really well. I'm honestly considering building this myself because I've got an Agatha's Soul Cauldron that I think is in my Optimus deck at the moment that could go really, really well here. So guaranteed that there's going to be a lot of people building this and some decent decks, and his own exhaust ability is just huge, right? Pay 12, you're going to put any number of permanents out, but you can also, because you don't need to tap for that exhaust ability, you can technically use Redshift themselves to pay for it as well. We've got Sab Sunan Luxa embodied. First of all, why does this frog have boobs? Like, why? There is a bunch of ways to be able to take advantage of both modes here, both the attacking and the drawing cards, where you get to draw the cards for having the odd number of counters, and then also get to attack stuff that gives, you know, +1 counters during the, like, you know, combat step and stuff. I think Innkeeper's Talent's the major one that's going to go really well here. It's got Reach, it's got Trample, which is great, and it lends itself really well into like a building tall Voltron style deck where, you know, you've already got 6 commander damage here. Once you get this going, you know, obviously it's going to start pumping itself up, and then you can start pumping it up with other stuff, and you could just build this really, really big frog that's just going to beat the heck out of people. Samut the Driving Force. This is the one that I think that I might be the most excited for. The alternate art for her is just really, really great. So one of the few cards that doesn't require max speed to get the benefits here. Spellslinger Naya is a very underutilized combo. Now you might be having a look at her and being like, this isn't Spellslinger though. It's got like, you know, a part that's not Spellslinger and a part that is. Just combine them together. You use a whole bunch of non-creature spells. So, you know, anything that's going to be able to create creatures. And then you're going to be able to take advantage of both modes by decreasing them by your speed as well as increasing their damage of those creatures. You really want to add a couple ways to get speed out early because, you know, she costs 6, so that's what, turn 3 in Naya colors. I'm joking, probably like turn 4 probably. But either way, you know, you're wanting to get her out or at least get your engine going as fast as possible. Very, very straightforward, but also just looks really nice and will be super aggro with the Naya colors and her ability. We've got Sita Varma, Masked Racer. Now, I think that she's going to be one that is going to be a lot more interesting and a lot better in the 99, just to be able to utilize her ability as like a big finisher. But essentially, she's a finisher for whatever deck she goes in. Though, one, you can only use once. You can only use this once unless you, like, you know, recast her or you flicker her. You're going to build up, then swing with these huge creatures, likely going to be pumping a lot of resources into her to help her grow, so that way you're able to take advantage of this, you know, making all creatures her base power and toughness. There's going to be make their base power and toughness equal to her power. So anything that buffs up her power is going to be good here. There's lots of ways to be able to take advantage of this. Like, you know, there's a whole bunch of auras, for example, that will give just plus toughness and power, especially with Ingreen. So you could just build her up and then make an army of, like, you know, little dudes, and then you buff them all up as a big finisher to kind of just take everyone out. But honestly, I don't know if she works best as a commander for that kind of damage. All right, next we've got Tarian World Tyrant. I said about, you know, the previous, like, you know, legendaries that don't have abilities. There's also a white one that I haven't included on here. All of them are basically the same, right? You're building them for just kind of memeing and playing a big creature that you get to swing at people. If you wanted to play this, I think that you'd be better off playing like Golter or something, but you've got the option there, at least if you wanted to. Likely like a Voltron-ish kind of deck, but I'm just kind of met on all of these vanilla creatures. We got the Speed Demon, very, very nice draw engine. You get to draw, like, even if your engine, you know, speed is just 1, you're still going to get to do that draw and lose life each turn, and it just ramps up over the course of it. It's kind of like a very interesting version of like a cheap, well, it's going to be cheap version of the One Ring. Because you get to like do that extra drawing, and you know you lose life to get it. It's very similar kind of style there. You don't get the protection obviously or anything like that, but still a good draw engine. You're going to draw as well the turn it comes out, which is interesting. It's also got flying and trample, so it's going to become a big, you know, a beefy boy. I do think it's a decent draw engine, but I don't know if there's enough there to make it unique or interesting as an actual commander though. I don't know. You could run it as a very interesting commander if you went like really hard into the draw stuff, or into the start engine stuff. I don't know. I don't think it's super original. We got T-Rox. I'm not going to go through it again. Again, just very similar to the previous ones. These vanilla creatures are all basically the same kind of thing. Maybe this one finds room within a dinosaur deck, but it's only got 1 toughness, so that's really going to die to basically everything. We got, I'm not even going to pronounce that, Venwex, Verbo's host. I actually really find this one interesting. I'm not sure about it being a commander. I think it could be a very interesting commander if you love the art and stuff. It could be definitely an interesting and worthwhile build if you go into like that card draw and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's going to be a very interesting replacement in the 99 for like a Teferi's Ageless Insight if that slowly goes up, because I doubt this will go up. And as long as you can kind of start building up that start your engine stuff as soon as possible, so you can get that Teferi's protection, Teferi's Ageless Insight, the draw 2 cards instead. But it's also got no max hand size. So, you know, you could do some really interesting stuff with this as your commander if you went really hard into it. I think there are better card draw commanders out there, but it is an option. We've got Winter Cursed Rider. I actually really like him. So he's got built-in protection for himself and built-in protection for your other artifacts. And he's also got a once-off board wipe as his exhaust ability here. I do think that artifact creatures is the way to go. Not necessarily vehicles, just going the artifact creatures way. And then you can include some flickering or cloning for him, or even like, you know, sack him and bring him back or whatever, to be able to abuse his ability more than once. Because you want to be able to use this board wipe more than once to kind of just wipe everyone out, swing in with all your artifact creatures, I think. And you can make use of the best of both of those, you know, the blue and black stuff there, and use Winter to also help protect your key pieces. I don't know, Dimir artifact creatures, he sounds like a pretty good deck to build with him. We've got Zahir Glory's Pass. So with Zahir, you've got kind of 2 different things going on here. First of all, you've got that aristocrat style stuff that you can do with sacking a creature to surveil once. That's really nice. I really like that. That's very similar to like the Viscera Seer, except obviously you've got it in your command zone here. However, you can only do it once per turn. That's a decent ability by itself. And then you've got, once you get that max speed, you've got like lots of interesting stuff you can do there. If you want to go with like, you know, zombies, you can do that zombie tribal stuff, or you could just use it like the black zombie creature token to just do a more aristocrat kind of stuff there. I think if you're going with zombie tribal though, you're better off going Esper. Like, you know, new Esper zombie tribal stuff just came out. Go that way. But, you know, you do have that option there if you just wanted to go with like a Orzhov kind of one. I think that he's better off just like a normal kind of aristocrat style deck. I do like it, and I do think it could be interesting as a commander. I think there's likely better options for both aristocrats and reanimation as a commander, but you could do some really cool stuff with him, I think. So let's go through like kind of a roundup here. First of all, potential CEDH viable. I think Ketramos is the most CEDH viable. I think Loot is a very close second there. I'm not sure about any of the other ones. I don't think any of the other ones kind of stand out as strong enough, but Ketramos is insane. Absolutely insane. So much card draw. You know, you could get a big beefy boy that's, you know, got menace and lifelink and indestructible as well. Yeah, lots of really great ways to make use of that. And then, you know, the most interesting ones, these are my choices for the most interesting ones that I think we're going to see the most build of, and which ones I think you guys should build. You know, I think that all 7 of these are just really crazy, cool builds. Some are obviously similar to builds that we've already got and stuff, like Avaya is very close to like the Loot from Foundations and Kona. But, you know, it's still a decent like extra ability here. Mimoplasm's going to be, it's going to be crazy. This deck is going to be I cannot imagine people not building a whole bunch of this. I do wish it kind of exiled things with like a slime counter on it, and then it could become copies of things with slime counters. So that way, if, you know, Myoplasm does get removed, you do have that option of still being able to recast and then use that stuff. But maybe they were worried about it getting cloned or something. Who knows? Somewhat's my favorite here, although Captain Howler is very close second, and honestly, I'm considering building that too, just because a freaking shark is just, I love it. It's definitely going to be going within my what's his face deck, my Edward Kenway deck though. And Colin is really cool too. All of these are really great. So I want to hear from you guys if you're going to build any of them. So let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys had a wonderful day. And again, apologies about the kind of lack of content lately. Have a great day and goodbye.